What's up guys, Anders here with another episode of Starting Over, our EU progression series. It's been a while since we last spoke, so I guess it's about time to tell you what's been happening in the past months or so since the last video. A lot of stuff to go over, a lot of drama, so we'll talk it through and focus mainly on the central theme of this episode. Now this should help newer players among you understand the different aspects of BDO that don't normally get talked about. Now today we're going to focus on why guilds are important for your progression as a new or returning player, and how choosing the right guild can change how you view playing this game. Now in terms of progress, we haven't really made much, to be honest. We're stuck at 239 Kutum AP and about 3 billion silver wasted on Tungrad attempts that refuse to even hit duo. Tett armors are not happening for us, and at the moment I've been suffering from what I'd say is fairly common to the game, just plain old burnout. For me it's doubly difficult because I feel burned out from trying to progress and also trying to make content on YouTube. So I paused content creation for a bit, as you've noticed, but I still recorded a lot of stuff, but mainly focused on trying to get out of this enhancing rut. Now some highlights in terms of gains: we did hit try Blackstar on LAN. Blackstar is BIS for PvE and a decent PvP weapon, but where I am at the moment in terms of gear, the lack of Kafris level boost to my main hand AP was gonna be a problem in the long run trying to get to 261. So I ended up sitting on that Blackstar till prices hit over 3 billion and sold it for 3.2 bill silver to buy a min-priced Offin Tett. Now I used the extra money to then buy some Jin Vipers to make up for the accuracy loss for using an Offin Tett, and now I'm at 331 accuracy since I run 4 Hanhums, 2 Jin Vipers, and 2 Precisions on my main hand. Now I'm still lacking in accuracy for my taste, but I'm using foods and alchemy stones to help with that. Now the idea behind getting an Offin Tett was to save up for a Tett Ogre or a Tett Leighton, sell my Tett Kutum and buy a Tett Nuver to then be at 261 main hand AP and 260 Awakening AP. I just need one Kafris level on my Awakening to hit 261 on both weapons, helping me hit the bracket I'm aiming for, which is 261. Now 261 AP will net you 101 AP bonus for being in that bracket, so it's a fairly huge gain. And after Tett Ogre, I can go for Kafris level 4 on Offin to hit 265 if I want, which is the next bracket. Now currently I have saved up 5 billion silver, so I need about 5 to 6 more billion to hit our goal of being able to buy a Tett Ogre or a Tett Leighton, whichever one's cheaper at the time. And in the meantime, I've been grinding Merrimack for experience and some money, trying to get to level 62 that way. Polyforest for some money and skill XP, because I still need a lot more skill points. And Mount Shelms for straight money grind. I'm also doing sea monster hunting. Well, I was doing sea monster hunting in Vesper, and that was giving me 80 to 100 million silver a week of extra income for a few hours a week of sea monster hunting. But Vesper has retired, and I have to wait a couple of weeks to start doing some sea monster hunting in our current guild to help us reach our goal. Now life skills are something I'm going to be focusing on again. I've meant to focus on and build a life skill work schedule for a long time now, but I've been putting that aside a lot in this account. So now it's time to give that a go and take it seriously if we really want to reach 261 AP. And I keep talking about 261 AP, and maybe some of you don't know why that's so important, so let's go over it. Now for some people, you see me having 239 AP with Kutum and you say that's pretty decent, you should be happy. But actually in reality, a lot of people who node war and PvP regularly are way above that, and it's actually a struggle if you're not on par with them. And some classes completely change when they hit this 261 and 265 AP threshold, because the AP scaling on some classes is just nuts. So that's the plan for the moment. Life skill layout will come in the next episode, since if I tell you what I'm planning to do for life skills, well, it might end up hurting my income in the long run. So until I get Tett Ogre, I'll keep that piece of information close to the chest. But one way I could make a lot of money, but I choose not to, is to enhance Tett Urugons. Now armor enhancing is cheaper than weapon enhancing for the most part, usually because the concentrateds are cheaper on the armor. Though you could always do this method with high demand dandelions if you wish. A couple people are doing that in my guild. Now this isn't something a brand new player can do though. It's a method that can potentially make you have your 1 billion silver turn into 5 to 6 billion silver with some luck. It all really boils down to using Urugons to push stacks from 50 to 90-ish. Now usually people who have hit soft cap and are working on Tett accessories will sometimes take this approach if they have difficulty making stacks in the 90s or the 100s. Now if your Urugon hits Tett anywhere from 50 to 90, preferably earlier the better, you can sell it for 2.5 bills silver after taxes. It's 3 bills straight. That's pretty good. The main purpose is usually to try and push the stack as high as you can, but you're normally spending less than the potential profit gained. Now you do this method over and over again until you run out of memory fragments and done. Of course, this all counts on you hitting Tett consistently, but my account, believe it or not, does not like to Tett things, so I don't think it's a sound method for me to use. But if you have a better RNG seed or you're a player who's coming back into the game with some billions hanging around, I recommend you try it out. You'll either get that returner's RNG luck and make billions, or fail Tett so much you'll quit the game again. Now if you're new or early into the game, you should be fishing at Termium Park 24/7 for the Golden Trout event, which gives 500,000 silver per fish on that golden trout fish. If you're leaving it AFK in the tray, make sure to select the blue filter to make sure your inventory doesn't get clogged up with blue or green fishes. If you can find a city that is abundant, then you can fish actively there, but for the most part, most of the cities seem to be near exhausted now, so not really worth fishing there for the event fish. The event lasts 3 weeks, so by the end of it you should have hundreds of millions if you've been adamant about fishing for the golden trout, and that money is really good for someone just starting out. Now I quickly mentioned that Vesper had retired, so I want to go into that a bit more and let you know why we ended up leaving the guild and our choices and mentality behind that. So overall, Vesper was actually doing really well. We had some good people and tried to keep it as tight-knit as possible with the focus on doing well in Node Wars. Now, unfortunately, which happens to a lot of guilds starting out, especially summer, attendance was always an issue when facing other guilds in T1s, and we would do well against guilds of similar numbers and defend well against Zergs, but eventually we realized that we don't get enough people, we're simply not going to be able to consistently win. Now, with that said, we decided to first seek out an alliance and see if that would remedy the issue. Now, for those of you who don't know, an official alliance is when 2 or more guilds form a larger guild entity where they can all participate in Node Wars together under one banner. Now, a typical alliance in a Node War is not official, so it can lead to your members kind of killing allies by accident and vice versa. The official alliance kind of takes care of that. You're all in the same team. Now usually official alliances are common for guilds lacking in Node War attendance, which is Vesper at the time, and we needed like 7 or 8 more people to show up consistently in Vesper, and we could have been fine, but that was not to be. We couldn't find enough people, so we allied with a guild called W. Not their real name, obviously. W is not their real name, but I'll try and avoid using their actual guild name to not call them out, since this happened a while ago anyway. It didn't go well, but water under the bridge for me, but some people in this game are a little insane, so I'd rather not incite people hunting me in-game again over something so stupid. So we form an alliance with W, and we go to our first Node War, where we win with a very strong showing, absolute dominance, and we felt pretty good about it, though there were a couple issues popping up here and there that eventually led to my decision to just end the alliance and go back to trying to make a more casual approach to Node Wars and have fun. We laxed our gear requirement and we started doing meme pirate wars, which is exactly like it sounds. We just, no alliances, full meme, 2 galleys on coastal nodes, and they were glorious, so fun. The most fun I think I've had in this game to date, but as with all memes, you can only have them be relevant for so long, and people started getting anxious about not having enough people showing up. Our attendance numbers kept dropping. Recruitment was a no-go, 3 days without hearing back from anyone. It was just not working out. People who did want to join would say things like, yeah, I want to join, but I'm leaving in a couple of weeks. I'm like, okay, damn, well, that's not really going to help us. Summer break was just basically killing us, and I honestly should have just placed the guild on a summer break of sorts and then come back in September and kind of retry to do all these things where people could do their own thing. If you want to leave the guild and come back whenever they wish, that was fine, but not to be. I decided to go on a different on a different route, and we sought out a merger, which is basically a merger is just one guild being absorbed by another guild, and we were the guild that decided to be absorbed by another guild. We reached out to actually several guilds and ended up boiling down to two. One had a rule where you couldn't say the word fuck in chat, and that pretty much broke negotiations because my guys would not be okay with that. I mean, I thought that was kind of weird anyway. The other seemed pretty chill. They were a node warring supposedly from time to time, but had an attendance issue. And that's what we had, right? So they recently discussed making an official alliance and we're set to make a comeback. So it seemed like a perfect fit. It was kind of like we were perfect for each other. So we joined this guild called H. Again, I'm not using their actual name. And it was quickly apparent that these guys had no organizational structure in place whatsoever. This was not a good impression. At this point, I was at peak burnout personally, so my tolerance for shit was low. Like very, very low. And we actually waited about a week to do our first node war. No clue what it was going to be. No clue what node it was going to be. And then we find out about 30 minutes before the war, it's going to be a T4 node. And my guys were, understandably concerned. If you don't know, T4 nodes are not something you just go into having done only T1s for the majority of your node war career. You build up to them unless you try to snipe, so I assumed they were trying to snipe or had an alliance with another guild that would allow us to have some semblance of a chance of victory, but nope, there really was no plan. It was over in a little less than like 30 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, with members of H guild actually going on comms and saying they were bailing on the node war. I've never heard that. I couldn't believe it. It was a shit show, and obviously these guys needed to do a lot of work, and frankly, had I been in a better state, I would have said, yeah, sure, let's work out some stuff, but no. I had people in my guild who have been with us from the get-go. OG Vesper, barely ever spoken on voice comms, but always top frags in node wars, comes on voice comms after that war and tells me how fucking done they were with the H guild. So, I lost my shit on comms, I yelled at the officer, just basically laid it all out, what they needed to do to fix this shit, because it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. That same day, we started talking and asking even more questions from other guilds to see if they had a structure in place. And eventually, we landed on Lure. And that's our home now. But this is our first week. We've done already 3 node wars since joining them. And they know what they're doing. It's simple as that. It was night and day, honestly. Everyone's happy. I'm happy. Everyone is happy. Win-win. And that's the abridged version of the guild drama. There's a lot more spicy stuff and frankly disturbing stuff that happened, but I can't really talk about it on YouTube. But maybe I'll save that for like a stream story or something. So back to the theme of this episode, choosing the right guild. So this story is a nice example of how you can go from something good to something horrible to something amazing, and it shows you how difficult it can be to find that right guild for you. But guilds are essential, not just for the buffs, but the people. Having people with similar goals as you progressing together, helping you out, giving you advice. Seeing that RNG carried friend of yours talk about how hard it is to keep enhancing Tett at such low stacks that they can never get to 90 stacks and above. Yeah, even that is essential for your growth as a player in this game. Now, had Vesper stayed a casual guild for friends, I would have been fine with that, but we all have ambitions and we wanted to do more node wars and to fight for regions someday down the line, so change needed to happen. And had I been a solo player, I wouldn't have experienced both the good and the bad that came from being put in a situation like that. I mean, it was messy at first. We wrongly assumed every guild operated like we did, but quickly we found out that wasn't the case. And now we're in a better place, but it does mean progression is necessary. This is not just a chill guild where you can stagnate. You can't stagnate in a guild that wants to move to higher tier wars. Now, I've known people in this game who've been kicked for not having high enough gear score as their guild moves on to higher tiers and sieges. And it's a pressure that kind of sucks, but it's also allowed me to view it as an opportunity to get better, continue practicing every day, and go for my next upgrade, which is, like I said, Tett Ogre, Tett Leighton. Not enhancing, just buying. Slower, of course, but guaranteed. It's honestly taken me out of the rut and burnout feeling I've been feeling in this game and put me back into wanting to play the game again. So what is my current status? Well, here's our current gear for our character and our sailboat plus 6 gear on our sailboat, and we are at 239 Kutum AP and 300 DP. Pretty good. We do well enough in PvP and well enough in PvE. I would like 261 soon, but just have to wait a little bit longer. We do Miramac every day for XP gains while making some money, and we do Polyforest about an hour a day for skill XP gains. I'm just starting to grind Mountshauns, so I've yet to find a rotation I like that is relatively undisturbed. Believe it or not, even though I grind when it's like 4 or 5 a.m. EU time, there's still a lot of people in these areas, especially on Arsha. And that's pretty much it for this episode, guys. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode in the comments down below. Do you have your own share of guild drama stories to share? Please do so. I always like reading that stuff. And as always, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already. Every sub helps as we continue to grow, which, by the way, we should celebrate 20,000 subscribers, guys. That's huge. Couldn't have done this without you guys, and I hope to bring you more uploads soon. Hopefully now that we do Node Wars every week, we can have a weekly episode giving you my progress on my quest for that Tett Ogre or Tett Latent purchase. I have 3 unfinished guides to edit and the weekly update video for this week as well, so stay tuned for those this week. The guides I'm going to try and stagger throughout the week and next week, so I'm not spamming you too much with uploads, but hopefully they'll help you out. One is a gear progression guide, another is a life skill mastery guide, which I've been working on for a while, and it was almost redundant now that they've announced that Manos Mastery is not coming to us in NA and EU because it's getting a full rework, but we're still going to go over what it can be and maybe what are the options that we have, what we can look forward to in terms of a Mastery Manos revamp that I'm coming out with in the future. And the last guide is going to be a sea monster hunting intro guide, so stay tuned for that. As always, guys, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I'll see you all in the next one. Take care. That Kuno shift left click, huh? Wait, let me see. Archer doing what's going on right now. He's dead.
He's down your fuck.
Watch the Valkyrie.
Yeah, that'd be too keep away from this.
What's Aftermath doing here?
We have
Nicely
still
done.
3 people on our thingy.
Good fucking juke, Jason.
These guys are fucking drunk. I don't know how the archer was behind me, but
Oh, I can't see. Is there still people on the boat?
Yes,
Yeah.
there is. And they're axing.
They're axing?
Yeah.
holy shit, that 100% dude. Shit. Dude, it's for 2 people. What the fuck is this guy problem?
Oh, I fell down. It is in
Where'd he go?
bottom of the bottom of the shell.
Oh, what the fuck?